I'm Maya Trabulsi. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition. U.S.-led airstrikes help Iraqi forces recapture a key city from Islamic State militants. And deadly storms sweep across the southern and central U.S., causing problems for holiday travelers, with many flights canceled. Also tonight, SeaWorld gets a win in federal court in a lawsuit over how it treats its killer whales. And it's been 5 months since the city decided to remove a public restroom downtown, but the Portland Loo is still there. We'll tell you what's going on. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. The government of Iraq says it has retaken Ramadi with the help of U.S.-led airstrikes. The city west of Baghdad fell to Islamic State militants last May. The Iraqi military says there are still some pockets of insurgents, but Iraqi forces now control the main government center after months of fighting and more than 600 airstrikes. Winter weather is causing problems for holiday travelers in Southern California. Airlines have canceled some flights to Chicago and Dallas because of conditions in those cities. Matt Small of the Associated Press has more on the deadly weather.
4 soldiers from outside the U.S. are now among the victims, as the storms, striking much of the southern and central parts of the country, take a deadly toll. Pulaski County, Missouri Sheriff Ronald Long says 4 international soldiers who were in the U.S. for training died in a flood-related accident. Their car was apparently swept downstream when they drove into a flooded roadway in southwest Missouri. To the east, flooding shut down a stretch of Interstate 70 outside of St. Louis. Authorities are warning drivers to use extra caution.
Our number one thing is if there's water over the roadway, don't drive. Don't drive through it. It just becomes an issue, and then we have to come out, and people are putting their lives at stake by coming out to come get you because you're stranded in water. If you just take 30 seconds and think about it, just don't drive over the roadway. Go a different way.
Oklahoma's governor has declared a state of emergency as that state deals with blizzard conditions, an ice storm in the west, and flood warnings in the east. About 60,000 homes and businesses were without power across Oklahoma Sunday. And Texas authorities are warning people not to drive in the Panhandle as that area deals with dangerous blizzard conditions. Blowing and drifting snow have made roads impassable throughout much of the area's 26,000 square miles. The snow began hitting Texas not long after deadly tornadoes struck the Dallas area. Matt Small, The Associated Press.
As the concern for a wildfire in Ventura dies down through containment, a new concern has authorities on high alert. A landslide could be triggered if rain pounds the newly charred hills. It could also threaten nearby railroad tracks and the Pacific Coast Highway. Over the weekend, hundreds of firefighters battled a wind-driven wildfire that scorched 1,200 acres. It is now 75% contained, with full containment expected tomorrow. San Diego is beginning the new year with some warmer weather. We will have some showers today and tomorrow, but sunny weather is on tap for New Year's Eve. KPBS weather reporter Molly Cochran gives us this week's full weather forecast.
Well, the most action we'll see weather-wise coming up within the next 12 to 24 hours. We can see on satellite radar showing that we see some showers and also a little bit of some snow in the higher elevations. Some cloud cover coming into San Diego County for tonight. We still have a dip in the jet stream leading into that cloud cover and also a few spotty showers. So over the past 6 hours, things have been rather quiet with the exception of some of those clouds burning off for the afternoon hours, but they'll be right back for tonight. We are going to be looking at a few spotty showers out there, again, due to that dip in the jet stream. It's what we like to call a trough pattern, and that's when we typically see cloud cover and also some unsettledness. So for the rest of tonight, a spotty shower can't entirely be ruled out from Oceanside into San Diego, Chula Vista included in that, and also for Mount Laguna, where we're in the teens tonight, we could see some snowflakes flying around. Now, as we head into Tuesday, the chilly air going to continue across much of the southwest, but the dip in the jet jet stream going to be pushing farther off to the east. So we'll have lots of sunshine build back into Los Angeles and into San Diego County as well. And that's really how we're going to stay over the next couple days. So once we get past tonight, we're looking at smooth sailing as we head into the rest of the week. Here's a look at our futurecast temperatures around 3 a.m. 46 in San Diego, a little bit cooler across the mountainous regions, 36 in Mount Laguna, Alpine at 35, Ramona right around 36. Right around noontime, temperatures will be pretty close to average for this time of year, and that's in the lower 60s along the immediate coastline. So pretty seasonable day coming up on Tuesday. Overnight hours turning a little bit on the cool side, waking up, headed back to work on Wednesday. Temperatures in the mid-40s for San Diego, 42 in Oceanside. Again, pretty close to average for this time of year, not too far off. Now, as we push forward into Wednesday afternoon, temperatures coming up a few degrees, so we will have a little bit of some warmth move in for the middle to later half of the week coming up. Gearing up for 2016, if you have any upcoming plans on Thursday or perhaps on New Year's Day, Friday, we'll have plenty of bright sunshine along the coastline. Temperatures a few degrees above average, right around 66 for Thursday. Into Saturday, we'll have partly sunny skies as well. Further inland, we'll have plenty of sunshine for Thursday and also into Friday as well. Temperatures in the mid-60s. The mountainous regions going to be a little bit cooler. Temperatures in the 40s for Wednesday during the daytime, in the teens by the time we head into Thursday night. And the desert regions also going to be rather warm by the time we head into Thursday, and we also will have some sunshine. Molly Cochran, KPBS News.
A class action lawsuit against SeaWorld has been dismissed by a federal judge. In the lawsuit, SeaWorld patrons claim they were deceived about the marine park's treatment of orcas, but the judge said the plaintiffs never showed they had viewed any deceptive statements before buying tickets. The judge also said the plaintiffs didn't meet the standard to bring the lawsuit on behalf of an entire class of SeaWorld patrons at all three parks. Utility officials in Los Angeles say it may take until March to stop a gas leak that's been spewing large quantities of methane into the atmosphere since late October. The fumes have sickened thousands of nearby residents, prompting many to be temporarily relocated. Over the weekend, workers tried to plug the leak with mud and brine, but it wasn't enough. They are planning to drill a backup relief well next month. A request from San Diego Gas and Electric to lobby on the alternative energy program Community Choice Aggregation has been suspended for up to 4 months. The California Public Utilities Commission says it needs more time to review the request. San Diego recently adopted a climate action plan which calls for all energy to come from renewable sources by 2035. The city sees community choice as a way to make that goal. For the 12th consecutive day, the price of gas is on the rise. Today, the average price of self-serve regular gasoline rose 0.7 cents to $2.99. The average price has increased over 27 cents over the past 12 days. The Automobile Club of Southern California says the rising prices stem from unplanned maintenance at several refineries that have reduced supply. 5 months after San Diego decided to remove a downtown public restroom, the stall still stands tall. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser says it will be taken down in January.
If you visit the parking lot next to Petco Stadium, you'll see a large steel stall on the sidewalk. It's called a Portland Loo and was made by the city of Portland, Oregon. This summer, city staff recommended removing the loo at 14th and L Streets over complaints of increased crime. 5 months later, it's still there. A spokesman for the mayor says the loo will still be taken down in the next few weeks. The city is paying a nearby homeless shelter to keep its bathrooms open 24 hours a day instead. Mission Brewery sits directly across the street from the loo. Its owner, Dan Sellis, doesn't like the new solution.
If you're a homeless man at night and you have to use the restroom, are you going to walk 8 blocks, 4 blocks there to use the bathroom, 4 blocks back, or are you just going to use a shrub?
Sellis says he'll be sorry to see the restroom go.
Before the loo, the entire area smelled like urine. There was no place for the homeless to do their business, and so they would use the shrubs, and it smelled really bad. When the loo was installed, all of that stopped.
The restroom cost $250,000 to buy and install. Removing it and paying the homeless shelter will cost another $150,000 this year. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
And now that the presents are open and the stockings are unstuffed, time to think about what to do with your Christmas tree. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler tells us how San Diegans can offset the carbon footprint of their trees.
Just last week, these Christmas trees at the Miramar landfill were the center of attention in thousands of San Diego living rooms. But now with the holidays over, what do you do with them? Well, you don't just throw them away. Ken Prue's in charge of San Diego Environmental Service Department's Christmas tree recycling program. Prue says instead of letting your tree rot in the landfill, the old trees should be put to better use.
We're grinding them up and making them into mulch or compost, and it's a beneficial product that can be used out in the community.
This year, they expect to recycle more than 150,000 trees.
It's not only is it not taking up space, but then it's also not decomposing in the landfill and generating methane.
The city's been recycling Christmas trees for 42 years and has the goal of reaching zero waste by 2040.
Whether it's business or just in our daily lives, it just comes down to basic common principles. So really just try to purchase what you need, use it all or reuse it, or if you can't, to recycle it. If you bring us just the good, clean tree, we can make good, clean compost.
For more on how you can recycle your Christmas tree, go to recyclingworks.com. Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
This week, we take a look back at some of the stories that made headlines in 2015. From our investigations desk, a look at how San Diego gangs are using women to take on their pimping duties. But these women are not madams. They're enforcers, and they reap none of the profits. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma brings us the story. But first, a warning. It contains graphic language and some disturbing content.
The women who help pimps sell girls are called bottoms. Mary Ellen Barrett is the San Diego County prosecutor.
The bottom is down for the pimp, is the most down for the pimp, which down being a good word. So then she'd be at the bottom because she's the most down.
I became a bottom in 2011.
Meet Jill. Too afraid to use her real name in case her former pimps come after her. Jill says she rose to the bottom because she was skilled.
All the P's or pimps that I dealt with made it very clear to everyone that I was the baddest bitch out there.
Why? What did it mean?
Pretty much that I knew how to get money. I knew how to manipulate the Johns into paying me whatever I wanted them to pay me.
But Jill never saw the approximate $2,500 she says she earned per day from sleeping with 5 to 7 men. But her pimp recognized Jill's worth, she says, by delegating his work to her. He recruited girls she trained.
You know, I took them to the neighborhoods, showed them what to do as far as don't flag no one down. You got to walk back and forth. You got to make circles.
Jill says her pimp preyed on girls who needed money for food, clothes, or drugs. She says she regrets her role in turning them into sex trafficking victims.
It hurt me. It hurt me in a lot of ways because some of these girls were not even old enough to understand what it was to be a prostitute. And I look back in my mind to when I was 11 and 12 years old, and my mom was doing the same thing to me. You know, today, I look back at that, and I wish I could turn back the hands of time.
Jill says her mother first sexually trafficked her when she was 11 in exchange for drugs. Jill, now 32, became a bottom after years of working with different pimps. FBI agent Robert Howe calls that track a path of endurance.
A bottom is typically a young lady who has survived through the victimization of prostitution as a minor for a number of years and graduated, so to speak, into a position of responsibility for a male who we refer to as a pimp, but in reality is a violent pedophile.
Not only are they violent pedophiles, Barrett says pimps use the women as shields from police.
The pimp has the deniability. I don't know what she was doing. I wasn't doing that. That wasn't me. And then it's the woman that takes the fall.
Statistics are non-existent on how many bottoms there are in San Diego County, but Barrett says they're beginning to see more women involved in the logistical end of pimping in larger gangs. Barrett says many bottoms are effective at luring new girls by befriending them at continuation schools, bus and trolley stops, and malls. They can also be brutal enforcers of the pimp's rules. Since many of the women were trafficked themselves, prosecutors find it hard to determine the line between victim and perpetrator. Barrett says it's also tough to get bottoms to turn on a pimp, but many have their limits.
Bringing in a 16-year-old is tolerable, bringing in a 12-year-old is not. Beating is okay, breaking bones is not. Denying food is fine, but not to the baby.
Jill says she remained in her pimp's clutches, off and on, for almost 2 decades because she was often high on methamphetamine and crack cocaine.
Deep down inside, it was like I was dying. I wanted out, and I didn't know how.
What do you mean you were dying?
Like, I felt like I was just a walking piece of meat.
She says she reached her threshold during her pregnancy with her daughter 18 months ago.
6 weeks before my daughter was born, I quit everything. I quit drugs, I quit hoeing, I quit spending my days in hotels, I quit having contact with any drug dealers, and I moved into a homeless shelter and got myself together.
Today, Jill holds down 3 jobs, including one as a mentor to troubled teens. Meanwhile, investigators say they're getting better at spotting women like Jill as they break up more human trafficking gangs. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
The cannabis industry will be facing stricter state tax laws in the coming new year. State tax collectors say the new regulations could add millions of dollars each year to the California's general fund. But some industry members say the new taxes will hurt longtime members of the industry.
In 2014, the State Board of Equalization collected about $44 million from approximately 25% of the dispensaries. Had we collected from everyone, we anticipate we probably would have collected about $100 to $111 million. So there's a lot of money at stake.
And tax officials say cannabis tax rules could change again if voters support a ballot measure legalizing marijuana for recreational use in 2016. Colorado's pot industry has been growing, and it's sucking up tons of electricity. Inside Energy's Dan Boyce tells us those high energy costs have been making life difficult for the state's newest industry.
This 25,000 square foot marijuana business right outside of Greeley, Colorado, inhales energy. Every time owner John Rotherham gets his utility bill, it hurts.
Right now, my electricity bill's running between about $20,000 and $25,000 a month at this location.
John grows over 5,000 plants at Nature's Herbs and Wellness. Baby plants grow under fluorescent lights. Marijuana in a vegetative state is lit for 18 hours a day. And when the plants flower, they need 12 hours of light. Then when you heat them up, you need to cool them down. His utility bills keep skyrocketing.
As we complete each room, we turn on more and more lights, so the utility bill just keeps going up and up.
In 2013, the marijuana grow industry accounted for under 2% of total electricity use in Denver. But that was a 45% increase from the year before. According to city officials, in 2014, 362 grows gobbled up almost 150 million kilowatt hours. Shelley Peterson sells lights to the cannabis industry and works with XL Energy and the grower to keep pressure off the electric grid.
To light efficiently in this industry, we spend a lot of time on the front end, on the design stage of light planning and mapping.
To be more energy efficient, John also grows in greenhouses. He's cutting the output of his high-pressure sodium lights from 1,000 to 315 watts, and he's exploring LED lights and other innovations.
When we first got in this industry, the lighting companies weren't even allowed to do business with us because federally it's against the law. Well, now the lighting industry is all about this industry.
Nature's Herbs and Wellness is expanding to new locations, and John expects his utility bill could soon be as high as $100,000 a month. For Inside Energy, I'm Dan Boyce.
There are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Star Wars The Force Awakens has broken the $1 billion mark faster than any other movie in history. Just 12 days. Disney says the movie hit the $1 billion mark yesterday after a very busy Christmas weekend. And more records could be set around January 9th, and that's when the film opens in China, the world's second largest movie market. The art of the Star Wars comic books is one of the exhibits you can see right now at the San Diego Comic Art Gallery. You can also see the sketches and post-it notes that helped create the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando introduces us to the man behind the heroes on a half shell.
Shh, come with me. We're going to see a Komichi Libro artifact in his natural habitat. Shh. He's even drawing right now.
One of the things that I felt was important about having the studio space right in the middle of the gallery, it sort of sets up the environment where someone like me sits there and creates, and the turtles that I draw, the things that I do right here in this space become comic books that become prints and original art that hangs on the walls.
What you see on the walls of the San Diego Comic Art Gallery is the evolution of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which Eastman co-created in 1984 with Peter Laird.
I did the sketch of a turtle, nunchuck strapped to his arms and a mask on, and gave it to Pete. He laughed. Thought it was the silliest thing he ever saw. So he, of course, had to do a drawing to top my drawing. So I did a sketch of all four. So, well, what do we name them? Well, if it's an idea as absurd as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Doug, Bob, Steve doesn't really work. And I just blurted out, how about after some of my favorite Renaissance painters?
I'm Leonardo. I'm Michelangelo. Donatello. I'm Raphael. Yeah, all the good ones and to know.
He was like, that's it. We have to call him that.
Harry Katz curated the exhibit and was thrilled that Eastman kept just about everything relating to the turtles.
You can see where the turtles came from, where this sort of cultural phenomenon came from.
The original scraps of paper, the Post-it note where it's like, Donatello's mask should be purple, or some of the story notes for the earliest comic books I wrote on yellow line paper. I didn't know how to type, and so you see my bad spelling and my handwriting.
A doodle, a sketch made in the living room turns into comic books, then graphic novels.
And you can see exactly how that creative process works through the exhibit at the gallery.
Yeah, they're going to see how comic books are made, and that's pretty exciting. Comic books were considered a low form of art, but when you actually see the original art, you see the intellect and the thought that goes into these things and how they're put together, I think it gives you a much better appreciation of how much they mean to us and how much effort goes into making really a popular and commercially viable book.
And IDW should know. It publishes the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle books. And the Comic Art Gallery that opened last night has been a long-term project of the company's founder and CEO, Ted Adams.
So we started IDW in 1999, so we've been in San Diego for 16 years, and we've had great success here and been able to grow our business. We have over 50 employees now in the city of San Diego. And what we wanted to do was be able to give back to that community. And we really thought that since San Diego is so identified with comics because of Comic-Con, that there was a chance here to essentially have a little bit of a Comic-Con year-round. And what we're trying to do is educate people about the art of comic books, how they're made.
When people look at the amount of work that goes into a comic story, it's an amazing amount of intensive work.
There was a comic book writer who sat down and wrote a script, and there was a comic book penciler who sat down and penciled it out, and an inker who finished that pencil illustration, a colorist who came in and did their work, and a letterer who came in and put the word balloons on, an editor who put it all together, a publisher who brought it to the market. I think those are really interesting things for the public to learn more about, and they can do that here at the San Diego Comic Art Gallery.
They can also enjoy the lending library and discover who the fifth turtle was.
Yeah, she was created specifically for the next Turtles: The Next Mutation, a live-action TV series.
It's all at the San Diego Comic Art Gallery at Liberty Station. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Recapping tonight's top stories, the government of Iraq says it has retaken Ramadi with the help of U.S.-led airstrikes. The city west of Baghdad fell to Islamic State militants last May. The Iraqi military says there are still some pockets of insurgents, but Iraqi forces now control the main government center after months of fighting and more than 600 airstrikes. A class action lawsuit against SeaWorld has been dismissed by a federal judge. In the lawsuit, SeaWorld patrons claim they were deceived about the marine park's treatment of orcas, but the judge said the plaintiffs never showed they had viewed any deceptive statements before buying tickets. The judge also said the plaintiffs didn't meet the standards to bring the lawsuit on behalf of an entire class of SeaWorld patrons at all 3 parks. For the 12th consecutive day, the price of gas is on the rise. Today, the average price of self-serve regular gasoline rose 0.7 cents to $2.99. The average price has increased over 27 cents over the past 12 days. The Automobile Club of Southern California says the rising prices stem from unplanned maintenance at several refineries that have reduced supply. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a pleasant evening.